Well, let's speak now to Anne Fitz-Gerald, who's a professor of international security and a director at Balsillie School of International Affairs. She joins us live now. Thanks very much indeed for being with us on the News Hour. So just how serious is this situation? Realistically, is Ethiopia on the brink of a civil war?
I think the situation is very serious. There is currently an armed standoff around Mekelle, the regional capital of Tigray. Civilians are trapped in the city. There's no electricity. There's diminishing food, water, and other rations. And government forces on one side and TPLF security forces on the other side, neither of which appear to be standing down. Furthermore, there are a large number of refugees, something that's amounting to approximately 40,000, clustered together with internally displaced persons in eastern Sudan. So the situation is serious.
And the international community has been calling for peace. Do other countries have a responsibility to step in at this point?
Well, we have seen a response from the international community, and that response has been quite varied. Calls range from calls for mediation, negotiation, ceasefire, dialogue, and there are some international actors who are remaining silent as well. So some point to the threat of instability to the wider region, and also, quite importantly, to the threat of, or the risk of, civilian casualties with moves that are made in the coming days. So to some, these civilian casualties seem very inevitable as the standoff continues. There have been attempts by the African Union, the headquarters of which is also based in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, to call for mediation. They have sent 3 envoys, which they initially described as mediators, to Addis Ababa for initial meetings with the government of Ethiopian authorities. The problem is that the government of Ethiopia has made it very clear that it does not endorse the idea of mediation or negotiation. It maintains that this is an internal law enforcement operation, and that these options would entail bringing a party that it deems to be illegitimate and having committed treasonous crimes to the table, which it is not prepared to do.
So if the Ethiopian government has ruled out mediation, can a peaceful situation be reached? How do you see it proceeding?
Well, I think it's important for a peaceful solution to be reached, but the prospects of this, with the standoff continuing, are looking a bit uncertain. So it appears that the radius that the defense forces have encircled the regional capital of Mekelle with is closing in and is narrowing. We have also seen the Deputy Prime Minister of Ethiopia, also dubbed as the Foreign Minister currently, meeting with his counterparts around European capitals, I suspect in an effort to explain the objectives clearly of the law enforcement operation and the interfederal dynamics of Ethiopia, which are very, very layered and complex and require more than a quick few textbooks of reading to inform people. I think what he's also doing is probably making a commitment to protect civilians, which is the first and foremost concern of other national donor governments and friends and partners of Ethiopia. So the biggest question is, irrespective of the suggested flow of TPLF security forces coming out of Mekelle, surrendering, coming through some of the corridors that have been set up, where does this leave the 2 groups in the final stages of the battle? If the core group of TPLF security forces, and as they are being called by the Ethiopian government, the rogue clique, if they do not surrender, there may still be the risk of casualties, and whether or not these are described as combat-related casualties, we don't know. But as for the Tigrayan population, and not just the Tigrayan population within the region, but across Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa as well, the capital city, there is a mammoth reconciliation, rebuilding, and general healing process required for the country.
OK, Anne Fitz-Gerald from Balsillie School of International Affairs, thanks very much indeed for joining us.